Hello class, welcome to week 10. I can't believe we are already here. We're getting ready to start our argument unit, which is going to be a little bit longer than we're used to in this class, and this will pretty much finish us up for the semester, and then your final essay will be a personal reflection. So this essay is weighted more heavily and to me signifies everything you've learned in this class rolled into a very well prepared, well written argument. As you notice, this week you actually don't have any outside assignments due on Sunday other than reading the two chapters of your book, chapter 17 and 18, and doing all of your mind tap exercises. So I doubled up on the chapter reading, so you're going to need to prepare yourself time-wise to take care of all of those mind tap exercises this week. As far as today's notes go, I'm just going to briefly outline chapter 17 for you. I think chapter 18 you can pretty much get on your own, and you'll be reading examples of arguments and looking at those more closely through Mind Tap. So I feel pretty good about just giving you an outline for chapter 17. My outline on the screen is going to be a little bit more pared down than the outline, or than the book's content, obviously, but I just wanted to hit some main points and show you some things about this chapter that I really think you should pay attention to. Also, in this video, I'm going to go over your essay number 5 assignment sheet, and so you're actually going to see what your argument's going to be about and the details on that assignment, which is not actually due until November 23rd. So we've got a good 4 weeks of working on this argument paper. And my key motto for this unit will be quality. We're not actually writing a longer paper, it's just that I expect the quality of this paper to be the best paper that you can write to show me what you've learned in this class throughout the semester. And of course what you've learned in this unit, which we'll get to here in just a minute. So this unit's going to look a little differently, so you're going to want to pay close attention to your schedule. Even though you don't have anything due this week, next week you're going to have a thesis, outline, and your rough draft due. So you may want to go ahead and get started, at least thinking about your essay, if not going ahead and outlining this week. So we'll get to that when I show you your assignment sheet. So first off, let me just briefly go over chapter 17. As you notice, I started out with this exclamation at the top of our note that everything's an argument. I like this statement. I've actually used a composition book by this title, and I think it's a good way to look at composition in general, that everything you put down on paper is going to be an argument. There's going to be some claim. Think about anything in life. The clothes that you're wearing right now make a statement about you. Your hairstyle makes a statement. We often joke that silence sometimes makes an argument louder than words can. And so once you start seeing the arguments around you and see the claims you make every day, I think argument will not be as scary when you look at it through this perspective. So to start us off, I really like the introduction of this chapter that says that we should be able to participate in a dialogue about issues. And to participate in this dialogue, there's 3 things we need to do: read and listen to others' arguments, analyze them, and build our own arguments. So we want to focus on doing all 3 of these in this unit, which is why This week is mainly focused on reading and listening to others' arguments, looking at others' written position papers and arguments to help you understand that. 3 types of written argumentation that our book is going to talk about are listed there. And then the definition of argument that our book gives, which is a series of statements arranged in a logical sequence, supported with sound evidence, and expressed powerfully. Also, your book mentions in the definition that these arguments occur in a variety of places. I would argue almost anywhere. So we're going to jump right into preparing our arguments with which your chapter discusses. Of course, you want to consider the rhetorical situation as always when you're making an argument. You want to develop your line of reasoning. If you look on page 295, you'll see some example outlines. Basically, there's 2 different ways you are going to present your information. You can present it main point, counter arguments, strongest main point, which is the top one, or you could present it main point, counter argument, main point, counter argument, main point, counter argument. I'm going to highly recommend and expect you to follow one of these different types of outlines. Yours may have a little bit of a variation to it, but this is a great place to start just to help you see what your argument's going to look like. Before you can develop too far along your reasoning, you've got to make a claim. And this is an important part of the argument process. If you don't have a strong claim, your paper is going to suffer because we want to start with that claim. So there's some tips on what your claim should look like. Here's a distinguishing between claim, fact, and opinion. Again, basically a claim is a statement that you have reliable evidence and logical thought behind. You've got some examples of those on 296. There's also some different types of claims, claims of truth, of value, and of policy. This is going to be important as you decide what you're going to write about. I want you to be able to classify what type of claim you're making. Now, it doesn't necessarily matter before you decide what your claim is, but when you decide what your claim is, you want to evaluate it based on these so that you know where to go from there, so that you know how to structure your argument in the best way based on whether or not you're asking a claim of policy, value, or truth. And so study those and be familiar with those as you move forward. Of course, your claim needs to be supportable. That's going to be something important. You don't just want to make this wild, outlandish claim without knowing that you can support it and back it up logically with meaningful information. So that's a really good marker to go by. Supporting your claims is the next step in argument. Using evidence. Your book goes through different types of evidence you may use. You can follow along on those. You also want to be sure to rid your paper of any logical fallacies, any type of statement that is undermining your argument, something. Basically, identifying logical fallacies is identifying the moral compass of your paper, making sure that you're arguing morally. Also, identifying logical fallacies can be helpful in life. If you can identify some logical fallacies in maybe advertisements, during the season, political advertisements in particular tend to rely on fallacies just to try to sway your opinion. when they're not really making a logical supported claim. One really important part of our argumentation is you have to address the opposition. You have to engage with the other side and be able to refute and defend your own claim, refute their claims. Using appropriate appeals, I really like the way your book presents the rhetorical appeals because it makes it all about logic and being very credible and logical, whereas a lot of times people present the logical or the rhetorical appeals as these three appeals. You've probably heard of these before. And this is a good way to structure and make sure that an argument has all three of these. The problem, and the reason I like the way your book presents them, is your book really undermines and underemphasizes pathos. And I think that's smart because an argument cannot rely on pathos. An argument needs to rely on logos. And so yes, you want to be sure to, appeal to your reader in that way, but you really, really do not want to overuse emotion. Okay, I know this has been a super, super quick run through of a very complicated chapter. Please read, digest the information in front of you, using your mind tap exercises. I think you're going to get a good grasp of what an argument paper is. And of course, you can always come to me with more questions. However, I want to jump over to your assignment sheet that you'll be reading and looking at for this week. So we've got the specs here, 2 to 3 pages. You must use 2 to 3 quotes from a scholarly source. That can be 1 to 2 sources, it could be 3 sources, however many you want to use. This basically goes through the process of writing your argument. I'm going to suggest, this is new for us, this list of quotes from the sources. Oh, sorry, not in your book. We need to take that off, I'm sorry. Just a list of quotes from sources, not sources in your book. Please delete that. So this is new, and I'm not requiring you to turn this in anywhere. I just think it's smart to mark quotes as you find them that you might want to use to help support your argument. So read through these instructions and see if you have any questions. Remember to look at your schedule because none of this is due until next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, I expect you to have your thesis statement, your essay map, and your outline all taken care of. I will work hard to get you a sample of those like I did for your comparison contrast to help you know what I expect for those. You might also want to go ahead and start your list of quotes just to start thinking about what you might want to use in your rough draft that's due not this coming Sunday, but the next. Okay, here's the challenge for this week. This week, what you're really going to have to do is start thinking about what you want to argue. And part of this process is going to be looking at these 4 topics and really, delving into each one and figuring out which one is going to be the one you'd like to use. I've got a list of some sources here that might help you think about the topic more. So look at these sources and start reading and deciding. And I will check back with y'all near the end of the week and see how you're doing with your reading, see how you're doing coming up with an idea and a claim. So look for another video near the end of the week. I hope this gets you off to a good start. And please email me with any questions, and I will look forward to seeing where you've gone this week, and I will talk to you soon.